Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back. It is Wednesday, September 18th, and it's getting really hard to come up with new headlines every day when all we're seeing is like Groundhog Day, watch, repeat, nothing but swamp and swamp zombies and more of the same, repetitive insanity, but not to keep you as late tonight as I did yesterday. Geez, we almost went hours last night, right, guys? So much stuff. We're gonna pile on a little bit, dog pile onto some of that from last night, and of course, in it's not a normal weekday if there isn't more scamble and more swamp creature stank and all of those things. So fear not, there's going to be plenty of that, but tonight's show is going to be a little bit light because I have been meeting with people, like literally all over the world, stacking the meetings up. There's some stuff that I've been kind of teasing a little bit. Sound is great. Okay, I was waiting for that. I'll try this again and switch out. Okay, you guys should be able to hear. Hopefully that's better in just a minute or two. It'll take 30 seconds before I'll be able to get you guys' feedback. I keep repeating myself. That's got to be it. So there's been some big changes with the software tools. Everybody's updating, upgrading, yada yada yada. Should be better now. All right, thanks, Stefan. Yeah, like I was saying, hard to come up with new headlines for the swamp insanity and the zombies that are running amok all over the world. But the last couple of days specifically, um, I've been talking to people all over the world, and I've been kind of teasing a little bit that there's going to be some announcements coming up. We're almost there with a couple of announcements. I'm going to introduce you guys to several other platforms kind of at the tail end of the show here tonight, and there's good reason for that. These are people that you can lean on in the authentic media space that are coming together to do something unprecedented. And you guys here are going to get to be a part of that. This is going to be something international, and it's going to be huge, the biggest thing ever done in this capacity. And some of the inspiration from that, thank you guys, comes from us here, this community here. If you remember some time back, we did some international roundtables that were just they went viral, and bits and pieces of them went viral. Think that, but bigger, way beyond imagination bigger. So I'm going to introduce you to some folks at the end of the show tonight after we get through a little walk through the swamp, a shorter stroll tonight as usual, regular scheduled maintenance, guys. Um, get plugged in on Substack. It is free. This is where I plug in all of the extra resources and bits that we see in a show here. All of the links, all of the graphics, everything is there for you guys to chew on further. And this is all free. There is no paywall on this. Substack does have the option you can contribute monthly through a paid subscription. I think it's like $8 a month, 50 cents a show. So if you find some value and you want to help support this platform and keep me keeping it free for everybody else, this is a great way to do that. So make sure you get plugged in on Substack. And the fastest way to find that is on the What's Up Canada website. You can subscribe here. This will take you to the Substack. You can also watch the shows daily. Sorry, I didn't refresh this, but it's an old link. But yeah, you can catch the shows there and get plugged in on Substack. So where are we going to start today's shenanigans? We're going to start with this post on X from Gov Corrupt. Breaking, Pierre Poilievre says he has put forward a motion for a carbon tax election, saying it's up to Jagmeet Singh to show Canadians if he will stand up for them or will he sell out and side with the Liberals again. Standard issue commentary. We knew this was coming. They're going to let this happen because nobody. I'll leave my commentary for after Pierre's comments here for 2 minutes.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, they've doubled the debt, doubled housing costs, caused the worst inflation in 40 years, sent 2 million people to the food bank, unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. That's why it's time to put forward a motion for a carbon tax election. A carbon tax election needed because the NDP Liberals plan to hike the carbon tax by 300%, all the way to 61 cents a liter, which would cripple our economy, put hundreds of thousands of people out of jobs, mean empty shelves at grocery stores. We need a carbon tax election so Canadians can vote to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime with a common sense conservative government.
Hasn't the bloc
finished? If I could just finish. The decision will be up to
don't interrupt my lines.
Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. Are they going to vote to keep this costly carbon tax prime minister in power? Are they going to sell out again? Or are they going to vote to trigger a carbon tax election so that Canadians can choose to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime? And I also call on the NDP, don't wait for the bloc to bail you out.
You need
announce your position on this motion to trigger a carbon tax election now. You have the motion. It's in your inbox. We're emailing it to him now. And all of you will have that motion for a carbon tax election, which you'll see is very direct, very simple, and provides Canadians hope that we can bring home the country that we knew and loved, where we axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop.
That's all that was there. 100% wash, rinse, repeat. And why I wanted to play this was so that I could explain why this is gaslighting. And nothing's going to come of this because there's not a snowball's hope in Hades that the Bloc Québécois is going to take a risk, a chance of losing the level of extortion that they now have over the liberal corrupt swamp. Not going to happen. The Bloc is not going to support it. Jag is not going to support calling for an election either. So all of this, without piling on some of the other things. So if Pierre wants to get any kind of help from the Bloc or the NDP, he's got to make this call for a non-confidence vote about some of those things that their constituents actually care about. So that's why I just want to get everybody settled down. I know everybody's been, pumping themselves up. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. There is nothing that is going to happen in any short order between any of these syndicates syndicates full of lunatics. And this is exactly why, Kim, because you don't hear him saying anything about immigration. You don't see him talking about any of the other things that matter. There was another comment up here. He doesn't say anything about Bill C-293. Why? Because he helped pass it. Exactly, Bill. The Bloc won't support it. The NDP won't support it. Now the Bloc and the NDP and Trudeau are all going to be attacking the Conservatives, and it goes round and round and round and round. Exactly. Karen's saying the same thing over and over and over again. He just voted to keep car theft alive. He's a total sellout. None of them work for the people. 100%. None of them work for the people. They all work for the party. They all work for the party, right? So they propped up the lietards. Yeah. Um, so this is unfortunately, Nikki, exactly where people are left, because they don't. And this is a big one. The big one, Tom. None of them will talk anything UN related. Never has. And this is why Pierre is stuck on those talking points, because those are the only ones that don't go against the UN agenda, the Paris Accords that he himself signed. So he limited his own scope on things that he could talk about, and this is why he's not deviating for that. He is not bringing up anything that matters to anybody else. They all work through the United Nations, whether it's willing or not is irrelevant. Whether they were whipped by the party to do it or not is irrelevant. At this point, they have all, yes, been captured by the United Nations or the World Economic Forum through some unholy alliance of public-private partnerships, NGO funding, and lobbying. So they're all part and parcel for that, 100%. So this is why nothing is going to change. Bill C-293 passed second reading yesterday, and somebody early on here in the chat asked, what are the odds of stopping Bill C-293? Honestly, I think right between slim and none, or slim to none and none, to be honest with you, uh, because nobody's going to take up the mantle in Parliament, because they've already passed it through Parliament, and we don't really have much influence or effect on senators, et cetera, et al., which are at this point all owned by Justin Trudeau. And this should be the significant thing for people to take out of this. When we can't stop Bill C-293, picture this. Millions and millions of Canadians come out coast to coast demanding they scrap Bill C-293, and it still passes. Will they believe then that they have any representation in democracy, this thing called Canada? Because it seems so far that nothing that Canadians themselves say makes it to the light of public conversation or has any impact or influence. So it's human nature that people don't learn the lesson until the price they pay is high enough. What is the price that Canadians are willing to pay for a corrupt government captured by unelected foreign entities, right? And we've talked a lot about the 11 and why I think that's a farce and a charade and a cover up, so that we are all have the opportunity to squabble and pick and get tribal about things that these guys say, and nobody's actually looking at the fact that at some point along the way, almost all of the 338 have been compromised and are engaged in unelected support of foreign agendas and corporate entities, and we'll hear a little bit more about that. So we're going to skip across the country a little bit to Alberta's new claim to infamy, as being, Danielle Smith really got herself in a pickle here now, and we're going to play this video, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm going to force you guys to suffer through this, because the MP involved here has just been sacrificed at the woke cult of gender insanity, in order. This makes absolutely no sense. She professes to be a conservative, yet she just sacrificed one of her own members, and we're gonna listen to this one.
I'm going to throw it over to Victoria now, and she'll just touch on a little bit more about that.
Hi, Jennifer. I really want to thank you for meeting with us today and taking the time to try to signal that this is more of a priority for you.
Now, keep in mind, the woman on the left of your screen here is elected by her constituents, right? Listen to this. because this is going to make your blood boil.
Nice to meet with you all.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Before I would ever say, though, that this was a productive meeting and be counted to the list of contacts that you've reached out to in the queer community, I have to know a few things of where you sit. Will you state on the record right now that trans women are women?
I've never been asked that before.
Will you say that on the record right now?
No, I want to have some time to think on that.
Okay, well, that's me. Have a great day. And I will be speaking out against this meeting because you are clearly not ready to have this. So I'm not going to be added to the list of meetings that you are going to have with people where you say, well, I met this person and this person, because no. You can't say I've had these consultations and use that as justification for you to work your way back into caucus, which is why we know you're really here. This only happens. This meeting is only happening because you're on Twitter, in the Twitter sphere, and people are debating whether or not you're going to be led back into caucus, and Premier Smith is debating that. And so you need to do some PR work. And I'm not going to be your Band-Aid. I'm not going to be your pink washing unless you can tell me right now that you believe that I, as a trans woman, right now, right here, am a woman. Then we don't have a lot to work on here. You want to talk about listening to the community? If you can't start with that basic foundational principle that we are who we say we are in our bones, then I don't think we're on the same page for working forward. So I'll give you one last chance. Are trans women women? Will you say that on the record right now?
They are mentally
Victoria, we
ill.
can disagree on things. And
Not on that.
still
Not
think-
on my identity. No, not
And
on
I
that.
can still care about you, even if we disagree.
Wonderful. But I will be speaking out against this meeting 100% if you can't say that right now, because I'm not going to have you add my name to the list of meetings that you've had to show that you're, quote, doing the work, because you're not doing the work. The work is the inner work. You're learning the outer work. You're learning what you're allowed to say in public and what you're not, so you don't get in this situation again, because you got caught saying what you really thought. And you did think that. But you haven't shown that you've changed. Because if you can't respect us, then how can I work with you? If you don't believe that I am a woman sitting right here, right now, how on earth are you saying that you're working with me? What work have you done then if you can't start with, yes, Victoria, you are a woman?
This
Can we
was
disagree and still respect each other?
No, goodbye.
total extortion, guys. If that wasn't exactly as so many comments here, emotional blackmail, bullying, embarrassing. She absolutely respected her, but it's still absolutely extortion. Refusing to even have a respectful conversation if you don't subjugate yourself, humiliate yourself, dispose of all of your beliefs and convictions, and dismiss everything that made you the person that your community elected. um this is just to me beyond acceptable. This is far beyond tolerance. This is communism. This person. Oh man, this dude is actually a communist, straight up communist. And some people have dug into him, exposing him. I'm not going to get into anything more of that. But the point of this story is what's making it so absolutely horrible is that this poor lady is being forced to undergo re-education training now because she didn't submit to this terrorist. And so I don't think that that is very representative of the culture and the community when an elected person is withheld from office because they don't submit to extortion from lunacy, right? That's the depths of power these lunatics seem to wield over our elected representatives, right? And here's another case of that, exactly that kind of extortion. Uh, Feral, I'll say that about that, but there's a real problem with these mentally disturbed people, 100%. Yeah, Danielle Smith has told her kind of basically the same thing that Jordan Peterson got. Same sentence. Go get re-educated and kowtow to the mentally ill and the oppressive. So it's this is too much. Danielle Smith has got to be held to account. This could break her. She needs a coffee and a shave, right? They keep dominating us with this garbage, is what they're doing. It's domination. How dare you? It's instant intimidation and attack mode. Absolutely feral. No respect. They demand intolerance with no tolerance. So that is absolutely gender dysphoria in action, and it seems to possess power and weight over Danielle Smith and the quote unquote Conservative Party of Canada. Yeah, re education, it's a thing now, right? And you're dangerous if you don't submit. Uh, makes a absolutely. Uh, I've identified as a rock for years now. You know, they can do with it what they want. It's their mental illness, not mine. Um, so this next case of extortion and collusion and prostrating yourself at the expense of humanity. We covered Lululemon. There's some more details that have been following up on that and their extortion over how they got a waiver on this no human trafficking slave labor. They're allowed to bring in the foreign workers on the cheap under the table and hire them, because if they don't, if the government doesn't let them, they told government officials it might halt a planned expansion in Canada if it didn't get an exemption to more easily hire temporary foreign workers, according to documents obtained by the IJF. So yeah, this is where you know, different rules for thee than for me when you're a crony in the liberal crime syndicate, right? So we're going to skip over to Better Dwelling, where hey, there's more good, good deeds from the the corporate mafia that is controlling or has captured Canada. This week's top stories: Canada kills remote work to save real estate and quality of life to erode. So, what is he basically meaning by that? If companies' employees refuse to come to work, they don't need a building to house them. So all of this newfound employment in the bureaucratic sector, working for the government in some capacity, and now refusing to come into work for 3 days a week because that's misogynistic or whatever their excuse is. That's what the unions were fighting for, means the companies don't need buildings and places. So just another level of controlled demolition of Canada and the real estate industry. We talked a little bit about that last night with Market Mania and the scam Ponzi scheme that's coming down in that. And this is only going to feed into the speed of that. The delinquencies going on properties right now is going to be catastrophic to the general economy. So some different headlines here. I'll add this link tomorrow. I'm just in tomorrow's Substack. I'm just going to cover the headlines within this for everybody here tonight. And so yeah, Canadian real estate fueling productivity crisis, quality of life to erode. Canadian young adults face soaring unemployment and unaffordable housing, according to the BMO. Canada Post non-operational staff told to return to office next month. Canada saw the share of households struggling to make ends meet jump by 50%. So Canadian households are increasingly struggling to make ends meet, and it's not just the cost of housing. Statistics Canada data shows the share of households struggling to pay their bills climbed to 31% of households in 2022, an increase of more than 50% from a year ago. Housing costs play a large role here, as the highest concentration of those struggling were renters. However, that wasn't the sole issue. The demographic with the fastest growing growth of struggling households was those who owned a home with no mortgage. Even the surge in home values wasn't enough to stave off the rising cost of living. Yeah. So this manufactured crisis happening, speeding up by a year, or 50% in the past year. So in Vancouver, real estate prices slip as sales fall 26% below the 10-year average. So that's kind of a quick one over from Better Dwelling. I'll add the link to that in the Substack, but it pretty much seems like everything is pretty much on, a consistent pace of destabilization at the hands of this corporate management team. So now we're going to switch gears here just a wee little bit to one of those cronies that loves our government, and our Liberal Party, Deloitte, who we talked about in depth here a couple of weeks back, where they're moving into the disease business. Remember, yeah, building job factories and getting into the disease research and development. And well, nobody should be surprised that this would be a go-to corporation for new academies platform to upskill workforces in sustainability and AI. Well, the AI is meant to help cull the carbon of us, because they won't want us or need us to breed or make babies when everything is done with computers and AI. And the workforce that they want is cheap, foreign imported slave labor. So this is just more part and parcel to the manufactured destruction of Canada. And so this one here is appalling, because it's part, another just tiny little deviation from the disease industry and Deloitte. This was something that I saw through a friend I'll introduce you to here in a little bit. But this poor girl was told it's probably just anxiety. So let you guys chime in on this if you guys think this
One time I got COVID back in 2020, and I was like, oh, MG, this is the worst. But also, I'm 21 years old. It should be relatively okay. I've never had any prior health issues. But then I started getting numbness in my hands and my forearms, along with really persistent headaches, which I never really had before. I attributed this to just being really stressed out, because I just started the serving job. I was crying in the walk-ins. You guys know how it is. Yeah, you know how it is. But then my tongue goes numb in my mouth, and I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. So I go to the ER. I pass out in the ER. Drama queen. I know. They tell me, don't even worry about it. You're just anxious. Like they were agreeing with me. I was like, I knew it. Like, so sorry to waste your time. I go back home. 3 months later, I'm hanging out with someone. My entire left side of my face starts to droop. They're like, okay, time to go back to the hospital. I'm like, no, it's just anxiety. Don't you worry. But sadly, not anxiety, it was a stroke. And I had been having strokes, apparently, because my internal carotid arteries were closing up to be this teeny tiny small. So they had to open them back up with stents. And I was like, great, okay, that's totally great. We're done. Haha, that was traumatic, putting that in the past. I fly to New York City, because what else am I supposed to do? And then whilst in New York City, I get numbness again, this time in my head, and they find a big old marshmallow of inflammation behind my eyeball. So I go back home, because no way I'm dealing with that by myself. Absolutely no way. In New York City, are you kidding? And when I wake up from the flight, no vision. No vision at all. So that's kind of unfortunate. And now it's 2023, and no one really knows why all of this happened exactly or how to get rid of it.
Anxiety. They told her it was anxiety. This is a little clip from Nazarene Veronica. If you don't know her, you're going to. I had to share it and with a little commentary, because I want people to never forget they knew, and they did it anyway. In any real justice system, this would be called premeditated and murder, what these people have done. And yeah, I use these hashtags, hashtag no amnesty and hashtag never again now, an awful lot on Twitter. But Nazarene posted uh, this post today with never forget what these psychopaths did. Never forget that they chose profit over their morals, that they put people's health and lives at risk for a bit of money. Their actions caused millions of injuries and deaths, and they must be held accountable for the devastation they have inflicted. And I couldn't agree more. So we're going to listen to this clip for another little reminder of, so you guys have access to more when people say, oh, it's just anxiety.
Do you not understand the mechanism of why the vaccine causes myocarditis? It looks to me like you don't.
Pfizer is aware of reports of myocarditis and pericarditis that have been temporarily associated with vaccination.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market?
Did we know about stopping immunization before it entered the market? No.
People to have their jobs, to keep their jobs, were forced to have the vaccination. Now, do you retract your statement that they were not forced?
I believe everybody was offered an opportunity to get a vaccine or not get a vaccine. I don't believe that anybody was forced to get a vaccine.
Do you not understand the mechanism of why the vaccine?
Sorry, guys. And this is what they're doing to 21-year-olds and kids, and worse. And Dr. Kat, if you remember her, she's been on the program a couple of times in different capacities, had some news to share today that the FDA approved vaccine, another one, for Mpox. Warns it may cause death in previously jabbed and people they come in contact with. And the FDA approves this. ACAM 2000, a vaccine approved last month by the FDA for Mpox, comes with a list of serious complications, including myocarditis, death, and fetal death. The FDA's medication guide also warns that people who receive the vaccine may spread it to unvaccinated people who also risk developing vaccine side effects, including death. Death is now a side effect, right? This is just beyond comprehension, even that we still allow people to take part in any of this and these companies to continue to do what they're doing. So another comment here or a post from Tamara Ugolini. Health Canada authorizes new COVID-19 vax amid controversy. Health Canada just announced a new C19 vaccine from Moderna targeting the KP2 strain, despite having ordered the destruction of all the previous versions. The agency claims today authorization follows a thorough scientific review, but many remain skeptical, and the data they use is lackluster at best. This new concoction comes with potential risks and gaps in data, including concerns about its safety for pregnant women and breastfeeding babies. Additionally, ongoing contamination fears have likely led to low public uptake of this latest concoction. This move follows the Public Health Agency of Canada's directive to destroy the evidence of the older concoctions, raising further doubts about the continuity of the concoction efforts. So yeah, they're just psychopathic maniacs, and they're all getting cuts in different capacities, ways, shapes, or form from the measures, or the fabrication, or the people that prop them up in office, through whatever lobbyist or NGO group it might be, take a pick. There's only 177 or 178,000 of them operating in Canada, with more than $1.7 trillion of lobbying money moving between them, and that's just political lobbying from one source last month. So here's another one of these consulting firms to have half its consulting work done by low-cost workers and robots. KPMG is kind of like a BlackRock light, or another BlackRock brand providing the illusion of choice, all owned by deeper swamp creatures than just the ones here in Canada. And in Australia, they aim to half their employees and switch them to AI and robots. Gee, how long do you think before they're doing that here, right? Don't forget about Australia. Got an update on that coming up shortly. Oh, wouldn't you know? Look at that right here, right now. The White Rabbit podcast. Anybody out here follow the White Rabbit podcast? Give me a thumbs up in the chat, or a yes if you follow the White Rabbit podcast. She's got a huge following. She's pretty phenomenal. Well, I actually got a chance to have a discussion with her yesterday, and she's going to be joining us tentatively next Wednesday on our show here. So I hope you guys make sure that you, when we get that confirmed, make sure you guys help me get that one out.
That I've been loyal to forever and never had an iPhone is playing silly buggers, and I can't do long clips. So I'll try and get to it really quickly and talk fast. I've had to do that for years because I'm a voiceover artist. Get it in 25 seconds. So we've got 2 speaking engagements this weekend. That's myself, former Senator Rod Cullerton, and former Senator Len Harris. One of them is in Melbourne, 2:00 Saturday afternoon. You'll need to contact me, DM, and I'll send details, because we need RSVPs for numbers because we're on limited space. So if you want to come 2:00 Saturday afternoon, get on with it. Then on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. in Trafalgar in Victoria, and that's a big meeting for farmers. Again, contact me and I'll tell you when and where. And I'm just jumping on because absolutely horrific clip is on Instagram. I'm banned from Instagram for life, and now I can see why, where the Australian government, the defence arm of the corporate Australian government, is announcing that they've gone into business with Amazon on an Amazon iCloud for all of Australian intelligence. And they're saying all of the Commonwealth with Amazon. I mean, talk about a corporatocracy. You, the people, don't get a say in that. There's no referendum. Your referendum is when you go and vote. And if you keep voting for these nasty people in Labour, Liberal, Greens, Teals, and the Animal Justice Party, who don't do anything for animal justice, don't do anything for the Green movement except line their own pockets and take private jets, then what do you expect? So they want to put all of your personal data on an Amazon cloud. Let me tell you, I used to live in California for 7 years. Let me tell you what the cloud is. The cloud is a very large building in Sacramento, California, with people working in it. People, human beings, fallible. Yes, I know AI is probably running the whole shebang, but that makes it worse. Now, this is all going to be tied into your digital ID. Do you want a nasty, greedy company like Amazon? Some of you shop with Amazon, tied into your digital ID, keeping all your information. Can you imagine how powerful these corporations are going to become? We already look like we're living in some kind of open range prison with all the surveillance and everything everywhere. These digital IDs are so that you cannot escape the punishment for not doing as you're told. You cannot escape, right? They will lock down your bank accounts. You won't be able to shop at certain places. I can't remember what it was, but we tried to book our honeymoon, and we tried to book at a certain place, and it wouldn't allow us. We were able to book somewhere else, but someone somewhere did not allow us to book, right? So this is the kind of thing. It's like access denied, access denied, access denied, access denied, access denied, until you're whittled down to the point where you're essentially like on food stamps. You can go to work, pay your mortgage, pay your massive energy bills. We just got one of those massive electricity bills, massive, right? And you can go and buy food at supermarkets, but you can't shop online and you can't do other things. Literally, they're turning us into China. I think the digital ID is in essence a quiet, soft social credit system, right? Because if you don't do as you're told, if you don't get your solar panels while they're busy blocking out the sun, if you don't stop driving your dirty 4x4 like mine, and going on an electric scooter or walking on Shanks's pony, then you won't be able to shop there, and you certainly won't be able to shop on Amazon, I'm sure. So I think this is horrific that the Australian corporate government has gone into business for national security, military, and that they would announce it. I mean, I was working in Australia's national security. I wouldn't go on a clip that goes on Instagram and announce where all the information is. Would you? I mean, who's running this country, right? We know it's not. They mention the Commonwealth. Sounds very official when they say the Commonwealth has gone into business with Amazon. Have they really? Because the corporate Australian government, as per the Governance, Performance and Accountability Act of 2013, is legally separate from the Commonwealth. So I'll be interested to know how that works. Anyway, this is all stuff we'll discuss at our speeches, 2:00 Saturday in Melbourne, 10:30 a.m. in Trafalgar in Victoria. Let me know if you want to come along. One of them is being filmed for the documentary we're making. Rod's back in town. Len is back in town. These former senators know where it's at. They've been in the heart of the beast. Well worth a listen. You will leave with so much information. Your head will explode. Love you. Have a great day.
So I'd like to introduce you guys to Nicola. She is got a massive following on X and everywhere else. She's originally born in the UK, was, I think, the Sprite Girl in the UK, and then was an actress in Hollywood and in Australia, famous on a Neighbours series, I think it was called. But you guys will get a lot more from her when she comes and joins us, and you're going to start seeing some more collaboration work across the world, shall we say, right? So follow the White Rabbit podcast and get plugged in and have some great questions and comments for her when she joins us on the show. So here we go to Naya's feed. This is I'm not getting into this one here tonight, guys. What I'm doing is I'm planting the seeds. I'm going to give you guys just kind of the heads up of what I'm giving to you here, because Naya is an amazing researcher. She has this phenomenal ability to dig stuff up. And on an overview, it's like, my response is obviously Trudeau and cohorts are walking crime sprees, but she's got a huge volume of government reports that dropped this morning. It's a tsunami of corruption. She's linked the government response, highlighted text link to the reports, but the original committee report is on a tab on the page. Can't look at them all. Here's the linked thread. So what she's done is she has, look at that. Look at all that. This is a whole mess of corruption. So I'm hoping that we get some energetic folks out there that, being slaves and hostages and prisoners in this country with nothing better to do than sift through government corruption. This might be a wonderful little playground for everybody to dive into. So for sure, get plugged in on the Substack. That's where the links for all of these gold nuggets will be tomorrow morning. So tally ho, and let me know what you find out. Let me know what you dig out of these things. If somebody does go in there and dive into some of this corruption, send me the Cole's notes. Sorry on that, and I'll do my best to get it pulled out. So now we're going to skip over to Swamp Zombie Carnage Carney. Nothing to see here, folks. Carney, seriously, if you don't think Carney advising the Liberals is a conflict of interest, I have swampland for sale. Well, Marty, I'm pretty sure he owns the swampland. So what's going on here is Brookfield is in talks with Canadian pensions to create a new $50 billion fund for domestic assets. So right off the hop, Mr. Carney, being on the chair at Brookfield and Associates Management, head of transition, is lining up his $50 million cut. A week into his coup? And people looked at me funny when I called his appointment literally a World Economic Forum coup. He wasn't elected, not by any of us. Nobody got a say. And now he's controlling the Liberal Party and lining himself up $50 billion deals. $50 billion. He doesn't look for much in a week, right? So September 10th, Mark Carney is announced. So this is what? 8 days. 8 days it took him since he was announced as an advisor to the Liberal Party. Roman's only saying he wants 10 billion. Other reports saying 50. Absolutely beyond absurd. How much suffering will Canadians endure before enough is enough? You know, February is awful cold for a convoy. You still got a month or two of decent summer-ish right now. So this is a disturbing one, guys. We touched on it a little bit yesterday. Yesterday was pagers exploding. Today it was radios. Now there's another 14 dead and thousands injured from exploding radios. I'm not getting into the pulling the threads on that, but at this point, the one thing I will absolutely say is that this is terrorism. It doesn't matter who's doing it. And if one of our allies is in fact behind this, there is no acceptable path forwards to maintain them as an ally. If we pretend that an ally should get away with something like that, there is no hope left for our society. Then I would start begging for the asteroid. If we're going to be acceptance of that level of terrorism, even against your enemy, and just knowing that that capability is there, and knowing that our government sees us as the enemy, suddenly some of those horrible conspiracy theories that have been dismissed for years starts to carry a whole bunch more weight. So here is a clip from Ivor Cummins, and honestly, this is going to be kind of like a watch party. I haven't had a chance to watch this particular rendition that he has assembled yet, but if Ivor's put this together and has published it, it's worth listening to. I'm trying to reach out to him again here. I want to get him on again for another installment of The World's Gone Mad. But yeah, we'll see what we can do in that regard. But let's catch this quick clip from Ivor.
Bob, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
We are working closely together with governments from around the world, including all G20 countries.
His exclusive elite members, called stakeholders, include the heads of all G20 countries, from the US and UK to communist countries like China.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, that we penetrate the cabinets.
After penetrating our cabinets, Schwab and his stakeholders have enacted a 10-year transition to another political system, which Schwab designed.
I pioneered the stakeholder concept.
Called stakeholder capitalism.
Fascism.
Stakeholder capitalism
Fascism
is finally becoming mainstream.
Fascism.
This single global authoritarian system provides the stakeholders unprecedented control over our companies and lives.
The Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
Promoted on the cover of Klaus Schwab's book, stakeholder capitalism's slogan is propagated by the heads of all G20 countries and other powerful stakeholders.
People and planet, people and planet.
And no citizen of any of those G20 nations got asked.
In the UK, Prime Minister and stakeholder Rishi Sunak has already made stakeholder capitalism's credit score mandatory for large companies.
We're announcing the UK's intention to mandate climate disclosures.
Sunak's opposition, Keir Starmer, is also a World Economic...
Here we get Deloitte and Carney putting it together for us.
Forum stakeholder. It doesn't matter which party we vote for, both have a
stakeholder responsibility in accelerating the transition
to stakeholder capitalism by enacting its...
The stakeholders are never we the people. Not once, not ever in any of these applications of the term stakeholder is that referencing the people of their respective nations. Not once, anywhere does stakeholder mean the people.
Marxist and tyrannical policies.
This is the best time for leaders to work jointly for the world to become more inclusive, more sustainable.
If you've wondered what's causing these strange events, it's because we're witnessing a cultural revolution, a social movement manufactured by tyrants.
Create a stronger inclusiveness.
To drive a shift from the bottom up to a more inclusive political system.
You have been promoting the stakeholder concept.
The era will be inclusive for them.
Other powerful UK stakeholders
but not for
include
us.
Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock, and Sadiq Khan, as well as the head of the BBC and our media regulator, Ofcom. They've been indoctrinating us to believe narratives about them acquiring totalitarian authority are dangerous right-wing conspiracy theories.
What can you do if someone you know has fallen down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole?
As well as manipulating us with propaganda, the stakeholders have been cancelling and censoring anyone who shares the truth.
Under new online safety laws, conversation and discourse is being shut down.
To discover how stakeholder capitalism works, Schwab's full plan for transitioning us, and what we can do about it, watch my feature documentary series, Stakeholder Communism, for free at yellow.forum.
So I'm so glad that we watched that because I'm going to be looking for yellow.forum. I want to watch that. But he's 100% right. He's 100% right. And they're speaking in reference from the UK, where Ivor is or where Ivor is from. But it's the same thing everywhere, right? And exactly as I said, we get Carney, SNC-Lavalin, and Deloitte, and the rest of the merry little liberanos, as Ezra Levant called them. 100% correct. So now we're going to get into some introductions, guys. We're kind of getting to the tail end of it here. Got some awesome people. I want you guys to go and give a follow. These are inspirational, motivational people. These guys are exciting, outside of the box thinkers. They are fearless warriors fighting for us. And I want to introduce you guys to some of these people. These are some of the people I've had the honor and privilege to be meeting with over the last couple of days and weeks. They're doing amazing, inspirational things. And in this particular case, Peter McIsaac is a best-selling author of The Redneck Conservative. He's a producer, marketer, R&D, outdoorsman, wildlife firefighter, patriot, retired law enforcement, 26 years in security, I believe, and digital security and all kinds of stuff, but an amazingly intelligent individual. He's going to be joining us Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. He's put together a project over in Nova Scotia that blew my mind when I first heard about it, and I've been trying to get him on a show. We got a chance to talk and meet, and now we've lined it up. The stars are aligning. Monday, don't miss Monday's show with Peter. He's an independent in Nova Scotia. You're gonna love Peter. So another account that I want to introduce you to is Nurse Becca from freedomtraininternational.org. If you don't know Becca, you'll want to know Becca. She is relentless. She's a nurse. a Spaces host, and a fearless advocate for the injured, the disillusioned, and the disadvantaged, having suffered her own injury path and fight against the tyranny in Canada. So I get plugged into that account. And Cafe Locked Out is it's been a part of an international freedom communication movement for a long time. Oh, awesome, awesome, Bill. You follow Becca? I love to hear that. Um, Cafe Locked Out is a free speech platform hosting several streamers and is also the platform for culture, a community of liberated artists. They are, believe, from Australia. Yes, Melbourne, Victoria. I've been working with Nicola and the White Rabbit podcast. So this is some top shelf freedom fighters that are getting together, working on stuff around the world, guys. And this is going to be really, really great stuff coming out over the next little while. I think I got a chance to meet that lady yesterday as well. But lots to follow. Great content, guys. This is if you want to skip the noise and get to the news. These are the people. We're broadening our network here, our community, our family, what we're doing together, working together with different content creators, fighting the good fight, that are fighting with us, not for us. And of course, Jim Ferguson. I'm actually going to get a chance to shake his hand. He's over here in Canada right now, I believe, or on his way here, doing 3 events out west, but he's going to be making a stop in Toronto. So fingers crossed, and Lord willing, I will get a chance to get there and to set up some special stuff for the rest of the world. And it's not coincidence that I'm introducing so many of these great minds and humans to everybody. Jim's working on something special. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. So here is next up on the list is Nazarene. Beautiful young lady from the UK. She's a 23-year-old unjabbed freedom fighter, exposing Bill Gates, Fauci, Schwab, and she did it live on TV. So they put together a unjabbed TV series and locked these people up in a house, Big Brother style, and just pummeled them with propaganda and coercion, everything under the sun, to try to get them to change their mind and take the jab. And she said no, and she came out of that force of nature over in the UK, and she is incredibly active in alternative community lifestyle, health, wellness, and a really phenomenal young lady that y'all are going to get to know much better over coming days. Malou Montclair from Copenhagen. I told you this was an international and diverse conversations we've been having lately. I think I should be able to get a translation of. So she's a mother, grandmother, founder, and chair of FBF, the Danish Freedom of Movement. Fascinating lady. Just another brilliant mind. Not accepting what has coming in, has been on the forefront, the tip of the spear, fighting for what's right, not doing what's easy in Denmark, and more inspiring people. We need more good news, more people to understand the magnitude and the lockstep that our planet is all in. I don't know if this is not quite the last, but definitely not least. Rebecca was somebody will be coordinating to have some conversations on comparables as well from Norway. Brilliant career journalist there, fighting the good fight. She's also a show host. And like me, as an independent, she lives and thrives on coffee. So I really hope you guys get acquainted with some of these people. And you're not alone, and all of these people are coming together to do something more, and I want you guys to know who they are, so you guys get a chance to get plugged in and involved in something, that is truly an international resistance gathering, with the help, assistance, and work of Jim Ferguson at Freedom Train International. So last but not least is Beatrice, from Germany. Another force of nature, completely plugged into the entire political underground and resistance, that's going on in Germany. And I'll tell you what, they have been having some big victories against the cabal and the deep state swamp over there. In Germany, they are on their heels. In most of Europe, for that matter, we've been covering a little bits and pieces of it, over the last months and months and months. I should probably do a European special, but I was kind of waiting till I could get people that were living with their boots on the ground in those places. So that's a whole lot of interviews and discussions that are coming up, guys. That's a whole lot of countries and nations that are plugging in and resisting and getting organized, to stand against this psychotic cabal of corporatism and this WEF Fourth Reich and all of the insanity that goes on in their psychotic little swamp. So that's it for tonight, guys. Told you I wasn't going to keep you anywhere near as long as I had the last couple of nights. Regular stuff as usual. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and give me a little heart on Twitter or X or wherever it is that you're tuned in from. And I hope you guys find the value. Make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not following me, you should be. And if you're not following the rest of the folks I just introduced you to, you should be. So, yeah. And like Rebecca, I live on coffee. You can do that at Buy Me a Coffee. If you have questions or anything that you need to get to me, contact at whatsupcanada.org is the best way to do that. I really have to funnel down how people reach out to me, because it's just way too much. I get thousands and thousands of messages, literally probably 10,000 messages a week. There's no way that I can keep up to everybody, and I love everybody, but I'm just not able to keep up. So that's for documents and stuff is the best way to get a hold of me and give me stuff that I can get to when I'm able. And yeah, as always, guys, support your independent journalists. They are the ones that are changing the world, that are exposing the corruption and taking the risks. The White Rabbit, she was telling me, and I'm not going to take away from this story. I'm going to let her tell that, but her life is absolutely in jeopardy. There have been multiple instances. So absolutely Jason Bourne level journalism coming out of Australia and the White Rabbit podcast. And these are the people that are doing it for everybody. Support them. Support whoever it is that you trust, that that you want to make sure that you're able to help. And this is the best way to help me at this platform. Everything is great. Honestly, guys, thank you. 50 cents a pop on Rumble. I'm grateful. I'm humble. I can't do this without you. But this is the best way, because all of it gets to me. They don't take their, and I appreciate the service. I'm not trying to take anything away from the What's Up Coffee guys or the Buy Me a Coffee guys, either. But yeah, that's the best way to help this platform out. And I think that's it. Well, buttons bouncing everywhere. I kind of slid in here. The show was really late coming together. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. yeah, show was really coming together. I hope it made at least a little bit of sense and you guys got some new news out of it and a little bit more understanding of what's going on with the swamp zombies and why not to get your hopes up with the Uniparty. Don't give it life. We need to stop being distracted by the shiny dangles of carrots of we're going to get an election. Yeah, no, start making a consistent hard demands for negotiations from all of the parties, a consistent platform, and force them to address the same questions regardless of party, and do that now while they're paying attention, because after an election they're absolutely not paying attention, not even pretending that they're paying attention now, but at least the plausibility, the potential, the possibility of them paying attention is only going to be happening right here, right now. So, on that note, I love you all. Stay mighty, my fellow warriors, patriots, prisoners, and hostages. Fear not. Go forth, live, love, laugh, mock, challenge, but more than anything, get together, get united, and let's get this shit show sorted out, because it's only going to happen when we do that. So until tomorrow, I love you all. See you then.